We're live with music in the background. We are jazzing it up here. We certainly are.
I'm going to take the music down.
Oh, yeah.
And hi, Georgina. Welcome to Art and Heart of Menopause. We're here every single week on a Thursday. And around this time, I don't know. Thank you. Hi, Maria. Welcome. So glad that you've joined us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I can do that. Yes. Art and Heart of Menopause. Well, I'm the heart in the Art and Heart. I'm Clarissa, and I am a Chinese medicine practitioner. My passion is Chinese nutrition therapy and also Qigong in all its forms, but especially for women. And my work is centered around women who are menopausing and beyond. There's a real passion there that this, as Achitra wrote beautifully in one of her notes, this is a part of our life stage. This is part of nature. And, you know, we're in a world of terrifying women and thinking there's nothing but medication and hell down the line. But I think I'm here very much to say you've got more power than you know. And when you use it, this is a space where you can make huge changes to your life that aren't just about menopause, but maybe about the way you've lived your life up till now. And we're here to share with you all sorts of things that have gone on for thousands of years that can support you. It doesn't say it's in place of going to a clinician if that's what you need, but really put the power back in your hand.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I've been on a tear. So my name is Chitra, and I am the art of menopause. And no, not the art of menopause, art of menopausing, because it is a verb. It's not a noun. A noun is that one day. And eventually, if we go into AI and all the computer diagnostics that they want to do, it's going to be one day to the minute of exactly when, because that's what they do first, is they take over the time. Anyhow, yes, I have been on a tear lately, and I am a doctor of Ayurveda. I specialize in women's health as well. And I've been doing some healing where I've got so many different certifications and licensures and all kinds of different things like you, because we've been doing it for quite a while. Both of us have started in this health holistic field, I don't know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
35. 35 was when 35? I did my first Chinese medicine course. Yeah. And that's a long time ago.
I don't want to go look there.
No.
But so we've seen many iterations of how holistic health specifically has impacted the entire society. And the tear that I've been on that you mentioned is that lately I've been feeling very, well, it starts off with early in 1990s, it was early 2000s. I saw an ad from Bank of America, which was the most corporate bank ever in the United States. It's still one of the evil Axis people. And they had an ad with a woman in lotus position and pretending that, yes, this is in the 90s, in the early 2000s when yoga was, still some kind of strange woo. But I just got so pissed off at that because, that was when we had bank scandals and whatnot. And not that we still don't want to get political. It's hard not to in the United States these days, but I see commercials these days, and the marketing that I'm seeing right now, I feel offended. It's beyond gaslit or any of those things. I absolutely feel offended because they're taking the language that we use in our holistic practices. They're taking the fears that women have and just expanding them and just misusing it and misaligning, which is why I'm so glad that we have this forum here on Substack, that we can speak about them, hopefully set the record straight.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I'm with you all the way there. We've seen it unfolding and unfolding, with yoga, as you said. And now we're seeing things that are holistic, but then, and I had a podcast for many, many years. And I actually gave it up because people would come on telling me they were a holistic practitioner, and the conversation starts fine. Next minute, we're going to sell women medication. We're selling women supplements. We're selling everything. And I'm like, ooh, you're here to talk to me about sleep or about gut health, but everything was a big sell, as if women are here to be marketed at. And that's the end of the story. And so I'm with you in pushing back and shutting down that podcast. And it was a very deliberate decision on my part, even though it was actually ranked in the top 10 of women's menopause podcasts in the world. I just couldn't feel that I was being authentic. And what I had set out to do was not to push women down particular pathways, but to provide conversation so you can make a choice. That's what matters. You make a choice. I can't tell you what to do, but you have facts that are real facts and you choose. I was like, no, enough.
And you learn how to develop discernment in terms of what works for you, so that you can listen to your body, and if it is time to go on other kinds of medications that are not all natural or other therapies, yes, please, but know what the potential ups and downs are. And the same is true for any herbal supplement or any therapy that I would offer. Know what the potential's ups and downs are. Know whether your body is saying, yes, I need this, thank you, more. Or the other way around, I just can't do this. I can't do the practice right now. It's too much. I'm overwhelmed. It makes me have anxiety. All of those things are signals that it's not compatible with you. It may not be, it may not create illness or disease, but it's not compatible with you at this time. And something has to shift, because your life is full. All of our lives are full. And adding more things to that life just makes things spill over.
Yeah. It does. But shall we tell people what we're talking about today?
I think that might be a good idea.
That'd be a good idea before we go down rabbit holes and we never come back out of them. But we're going to talk about hair. And, it's pretty precious to us, our hair. We all want to have crowning, beautiful hair. The first thing people see with you when you're a woman, I think, is your hair. We just notice it. But of course, we get a bit older, hair changes texture, changes color. We might lose hair. In fact, female alopecia is on the rise, and there are lots of reasons for that. And sometimes we feel like we have a bad hair day. As I said in one of my notes, we've got a bad hair day every day. And, it's emotional, when your hair changes. It's not just a physical thing.
Right. It's this aura that we carry around with us. And there are a lot of factors as to why the hair changes. The hair changes its texture every 7 years, in general, anyhow. And when we start hitting perimenopause, menopause, and beyond, we really, really see drastic changes quite often. And depending on how you've cared for your hair in the past, how you're caring for it is different from how you need to care for the hair now. It may be similar, but it's usually a little bit different. Yeah.
And I think we've all abused our hair horribly. When, I mean, when we were younger, some of us did some pretty drastic stuff. I was looking at some pictures of myself many, many decades ago. And by the way, I had beautiful red hair. Of course, I hated it then. Of course, I hated it with a vengeance. I had thick auburn hair. I can never deny my West of Ireland roots. I mean, I have the Blackwell hair. This was my name I was born with, and everybody in my family, on my dad's side of the family, have that hair color. I even have a picture of someone from 1860, a little watercolor, and she has the same hair color as me. So, but then I wanted to be blonde, or I wanted to have curls, and perms were in, and oh Lord, the things we've done. And our hair pays some of the price of that. It takes many years for that to grow out, even though hair technically isn't alive, of course, is it? It's not like skin. It's sort of there and then it falls out.
So I just went straight back to that original topic that we came from, that I've been on a tear for. Isn't that the truth? That's like one of the places where the marketing hits us really, really early on in terms of what our hair should look like, whether it's long hair, short hair, bangs, colored, not. I remember I have curly hair and I did a perm. I'm serious. Because it wasn't curly enough or big enough. I don't even remember. Today, I just let it grow long, although I am thinking of changing it for many reasons. But in order for it to not dry out, I just keep it in these braids, or as you call, plaited, and it just retains more moisture. I live in the desert, so anything is going to be dry. But there are other things that we can do for that.
Yeah.
So as you were talking about hair not being alive, let's talk about what hair is. I don't know, do you guys have what hair is from a Chinese perspective?
Not that I've read of. No, not like that. I mean, it might be that I don't know, but I haven't ever read that. I mean, it's more about hair and hair issues and why our hair changes, but yeah. But it's sort of sign of the life. I would say it's signs of our life and our vibrancy. So it's a very good indicator of your level of your qi and how well your qi and your blood are flowing in your body.
I think that from an yes, from an Ayurvedic perspective, yes, there is a lot of blood work that we see it as, the second tissue, the red blood. But if we go into current Western medicine, or rather current Western holistic medicine, they've developed tests for hair, right? So you give them a sample of your hair and they will be able to tell you what kinds of minerals are in there and whether you have appropriate vitamin levels and things like that. And the reason they're able to do that, and this is what Ayurveda told us thousands of years ago, that the hair is a reflection of the bone tissue. It's actually what they call a mala, which translates into waste product, but that's not a really good term for it. And so what it has a purpose. Every single byproduct or waste product has its own purpose. It's not just about throwing it out. And the hair has its purpose, whether it's eyelashes or eyebrows or on the skin or pubic hair or underarm hair or head of hair. So each one has its own specific purpose. And it always is a reflection of what's going on in the the bones as well. Yeah.
That's really interesting, because we would say that if you have issues with your hair, whether that's thinning, hair loss, whatever, it's a reflection of the condition of your kidney system in Chinese medicine. And of course, the extension of your kidney system, which for people who haven't heard us talk before, is your whole urogenitory system and a whole load of other things in Chinese medicine. But the other body part that it is connected to is your bones. So it may be that I've not seen it explicitly stated, but of course, if it is, it is implicitly. If your kidney system is impacted, your hair is impacted, it could indeed be related to the state of your actual bones.
Mm. Mm. And so, when we're talking about protection, so here's what it's also doing for you. So the bones are giving you structure, right? So as part of and the bones also protect certain organs of the body, like your lungs. But the hair itself, it provides warmth, right? So the hair on top of your head is going to contain the warmth of the head. It's not enough for cold climates, but it's also going to help dissipate it somewhat. It's also really important in understanding airflow and particle flow. So in the nostrils, right, it's going to protect the larger particles from going in. It's going to stop it, right? Your eyelashes are doing similar things. I would suspect that at some point in time, like when we had bigger what is this called here? At the eyebrows.
Yes, forehead. Well, yes, just the beginning of the forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it gave us shade, for the eyes a little bit. In the ears, it does the same thing. It helps us understand vibration. So there's just so much to it, and it's not just a throwaway element.
Mm.
And then, of course, I could talk about the different doshas around the hair if you'd like me to.
Why don't you do that?
Yeah.
Why not? I mean,
hair, skin, nails are such a big, huge thing in Ayurveda. It tells us about your health. It tells us about what your dosha is. So let's start with the kapha hair. Usually I start with vata. So kapha is ether and water. And kapha tends to be heavier and thicker and oilier. So men who have thicker hair in general, when young, they might, in their teenage years, it may be super oily, right? But later on, they have gorgeous hair. And when it turns into that gray hair, they're usually that silver white, beautiful hair. So no matter what, if you're full on kapha, you've got gorgeous hair. You may not like it, but and it may not, it could be either curly or it could be straight. Um, but and they also tend to have darker hair in terms of color. And the issue with them is that they may have follicular problems, meaning that the oil will get stuck in the hair and that in the follicles and not allow for it to grow properly, or it will cut off at the root. So that's your kapha hair. Your pitta hair. Now, pitta is really interesting. So your pitta hair is in between. So it could be your red hair, like you. It could it could be your blonde hair. But what's going on with pitta hair, and they generally have straight hair, and they generally will have kind of thin hair too, as a grouping. Um, they're the ones who have the bad hair days. Let's put it that way. A lot, or complain about it. And we'll talk about vata later. But what's happening for Pitta is that they have excess heat in the hair follicles. So the head in itself is hot.
Yeah.
Which causes early pattern baldness, which in men and now in women as well. It's also premature thinning of the hair and early graying. So it happens in midlife when pitta, when fire is high, that's when we start going graying. Okay. And there are a couple of things that we can do to assist with that heat, or some things that we do to like make the heat worse, like blow dryers.
Yes.
Right? So we're adding dryness to it and we're adding heat to the hair. Now, the Vata hair, like everything on Vata, they're irregular. It could be curly. It could be, it could be straight. It could be thin. It could be thick. They can have, so I have a lot of, I have like typical Vata hair. So I have a lot of hair, but it's very, very thin. It's curly in the front, and then I've got this straight line in the back. I mean, talk about irregular. And it goes frizzy, and they can be split ends, and it can be brittle. And when it goes gray, it goes this. It doesn't do it nicely and uniformly. It just whatever. So I've had this gray streak in my hair since my 40s. It looked really cool, especially when I was doing streaking in my hair. Didn't need to streak it because it just did it. Um, but what happens with Vata is that it falls out in clumps when it's going to fall out. So because because it breaks and falls. So as we hit menopause, that real crossover stage where we're seeing a little osteoporosis, the bone structure is getting more space and air in it, which eventually we call osteoporosis. The hair is doing the same thing. So most of us will start getting Vata hair where it dries out and it's falling out. And that comes right on the heels of pitta hair, in which case it's being burnt out. So it's kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah, and that is interesting because although obviously we don't have doshas in Chinese medicine, again, excess heat in the body is an issue when it comes to thinning, graying, and hair falling out. So there are times when these are very aligned, although they may not be using quite the same kind of language. Excess heat, which of course we have a lot as we go through perimenopause. A lot of women, it's the most common thing. We are hot flashes, night sweats. That's also going to play out in affecting our hair. But remembering also that we can have excess heat in the body for other reasons, such as inflammation in the system too. And obviously, if you've had a very serious disease which has inflammation it's caused, you often lose your hair.
Right. Chemotherapy. Classic example of losing hair in clumps. We're burning through the system. Basically.
My dad actually, who had rheumatic fever as a boy, and he was a young man, and he was bald by the time he was 21, 22. And that was almost directly after the fever broke and he became well. He was bald.
So that's rough. So rough.
Yeah. That's
so the hair, because it's so connected to the bone tissue, we look at it that as a deeper imbalances in the body. Okay, so you've got your surface things that you can do, like manage don't put your head under hot water or don't take super hot showers with your head under the shower. right? That's going to do some damage to the hair and scalp, overheat you. I mean, if you like hot showers, you could do it on the body, but just don't put your head underneath it.
Yeah.
Ironing, all of the chemicals that we put on the hair, all of those things are going to contribute to problems.
Yeah.
Do you remember Elton John? Of course, you remember Elton John.
Of course. He's still alive.
He's still alive. But do you remember his hair controversy back
Oh,
in
yeah.
the 80s?
Yeah.
It was his hair started falling out, and it had everything to do with all of the dyes that he was using on his hair, because before the colors that we have on today, like the psychedelic, rainbow color hair, he was doing it back then, but the chemicals were so much more toxic. I don't know if he's ever gotten his hair back.
No, his hair remained. I think he had some like hair transplant, but obviously his hair is very thin.
Yeah.
Very thin. So, I mean, that is like damaging the hair from the outside is a big part, but it's also nutrition, as we well know, lies at the heart of also why we have issues with our hair. So things that we know we shouldn't be doing, that we know would affect our skin, also affect our hair. Excess sugar being definitely one of those things that can cause us a lot of hair-related issues. And so, again, there we are saying don't eat ultra-processed foods. We're always saying these things, or minimize them. Also, it's interesting in Chinese medicine, we would say something about salt, because salt and salty flavors are connected in Chinese medicine to the kidney system and therefore to the bones. And we would say often people have either not enough salt or the quality of the salt that they're choosing is poor, and that it will show up in your hair. And of course, if you eat food that are processed, they throw in the cheapest salt they can find, whereas we would choose maybe a sea salt or a Himalayan salt or something like that, a better quality salt than reaching for the thing that's lowest common denominator.
Exactly. So those salts have minerals that we need for our bones, as opposed to sodium, which just has the flavor. And in Ayurveda, we look at the 6 flavors, and I never put it together like what you just said. The salty taste increases pitta, increases the fire, and therefore it's going to do something, depending on how well balanced you're eating the foods. It's all about balance, not no excess. It's going to affect the hair because of that fire element that is part of salt itself. Before we even go into the nutrition, I just wanted to speak about what also contributes to hair loss factors. So osteoporosis will do that. In addition to external chemicals, we could talk about internal stress, anxiety, tension. The thyroid is very connected to it, whether you are hypo or hyper. Reductions in estrogen levels, yes. That is a thing. Follicle damage, whether it's clogged or again chemical.
Yeah.
So or unfed. You're not cleaning it properly. Iron deficiency is also a big one for that. Infections of the scalp. So those will also do it, whether it is an inflammatory condition, or you've got some sort of dandruff and or what we call krumi, which is no, it's not parasites. So yeah, parasites is the best way to say that. Psoriasis is another hair loss factor. PCOS, interestingly, polycystic ovarian syndrome is also a symptom. So if the hair is radically changed than what you think it is, then it may not mean that you have these things, but it may mean that you need to look for them.
Yeah.
So the hair is that first signal that something has changed within your inherent system.
Yeah. It's like your skin, like your hair. These are visual outer signs that maybe something in the inner system isn't what it should be. And we do know that women who have menstrual issues often have hair issues. You said PCOS, but also just other issues with menstruation can create, or even our menstrual cycle can mean that as the hormones fluctuate through the month, we may have hair that feels different, more fragile at certain times of the month, because hormones do play a very big role. And that's why women also lose hair around postpartum.
Yes.
So that, we know that there is a big role of hormones.
So there are many factors, and it just allowing for the hair, watching it. If we're covering it up all the time, and trust me, I'm not saying not to change the color or not to, but and the same is true for nails, because it's an indicator. It's not just this throwaway tissue that we style ourselves with. That's part of our self-esteem. We get to catch things a lot earlier than there are tests for. And Marlene, welcome. If you guys have questions about hair, you've got stories about your hair. I mean, there are stories about hair that go back to the Bible,
or older, probably, I would think, than the Bible.
Older than the Bible, but that's what I'm Medusa. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Medusa is after those stories I think in the Bible. Who knows? But
who knows?
There's a lot
Yeah.
of stories around Bibles and around hair. My apologies.
Maybe.
I have a cat who is screaming to come in. So
let's go. Maybe we should talk a little bit.
Yourselves.
Talk about
right
ourselves till Chitra comes back about her hair. But we'd love to hear your hair stories. We've all got them, and I think also about things that you've noticed about your hair. Maybe as you're going through perimenopause, what has been happening for you? Have you noticed it? How does it make you feel? I mean, I think those are all things we'd love to hear. You can pop them in the comments, send something to us later. Oh, she's on full form today, this cat. But maybe, Chitra, we should talk a little bit about how Ayurveda and TCM also approach managing hair issues.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Oh, there's many. There's many, of course, but some key ones. Yeah.
Well, the first thing we want to do is prevention. That's the number one thing that Ayurveda talks about in terms of that. So there's certain things to avoid and certain things not to, and we've covered some of them already. Excessive heat. Ayurveda doesn't really talk about products and chemicals because they really didn't have these same chemicals. They used henna to color their hair. So henna is an herbal remedy that bring herbs that bring nutrition into the hair itself. They also say avoid washing your hair more than 3 times a week.
Yes.
And in menopause, I say do it maybe once a week, because your hair isn't producing the oils that women often think of themselves as their younger selves, and they think that they're going to react to things as they did when they were in puberty. Because it's so devastating, some of the changes that happen, right? So the oil, the so we are afraid of these things because we think we're going to react to it in the same way. So not washing the hair when you were younger created, if you're a pitta person, just you know better than I do.
Yeah, you didn't wash your hair. It kind of just sort of went, "Bleh." Yeah,
Exactly.
because it looked awful. So you washed your hair lots. And then now I wouldn't wash my hair more than once a week with a product
Yeah.
because it doesn't need it. And it doesn't actually feel good if you do that. And you tend to find more you wash it less. But if you're in Chinese medicine, we would say you still need to stimulate the scalp.
Right.
So even if you're not washing, and brushing is never seen as enough in TCM. Never, never. You want to stimulate the scalp because you want blood and qi to flow in this.
And it's stimulating circulation. It is stimulating at the root level, so it's also cleansing it there. And it also redistributes any oils that are there. And that's always a better way to manage it. And in some ways, that's one of the reasons why we do the brushing of the skin as well. And that is also to stimulate the hair follicles here, because otherwise, we may not be present to touch as well as we could be.
Yeah. And actually, your head's got 300 acupressure points on it. So and it's very interesting. Yeah. So you kind of work the hair, you literally get in and you work it in sections really, and you get in there with your fingers, or you can go in with a gua sha that's got a little comby end, and you don't have to go very hard, but you can really work through your hair in line after line after line, so that you're stimulating your scalp. And it's great. You can do that in the morning. It's very easy, and fingers are free, and you really can shift things along, and you can come almost back down over your neck and down the back of your neck, and stimulating the Dumai channel, which is, we have two sort of circulating channels in Chinese medicine. The Dumai starts about here and it runs right down to Uranus, and then you've got the conception vessel coming up, and they join actually. That's why you close your mouth when you're doing Qigong, and put your tongue to the back of the roof of the mouth, because then you make a microcosm, you make a full circle inside yourself. But the Dumai channel, there's some of it here at the back of the neck down to the shoulders. That's a great place to massage and work. And that will actually prevent some hair loss if we work on the Dumai channel there.
Did not know that. Thank you. So Maria is asking about thoughts on hair oiling with herbal oils. Does Chinese medicine have anything like that?
Yeah, it does have some oils. There are lots of, they're oils or they're herbal kind of preparations. There are tons of them. Sometimes they're oil-based, sometimes they're not, and they're sometimes put together. Sometimes they contain hemp seeds and fresh ginger, and then some other leaves and seeds like Eclipta and Platycladus, and they can be blended together. Sometimes you put essential oils into oil as well and massage it into the scalp. So that's very much a part of this.
Good to know. I figured you guys probably had something. Ayurveda, we love oil. Doesn't matter where it is, when it is. Love oil. Except for, there are some things that we're always looking at. We're always dividing systems into the three, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, right? And so if the environment itself, so we're also looking at the environment, the climate, the temperatures out there, as well as the person inside. And those are divided into threes. So in general, what we're at least once a week, oil on the scalp. Before you shampoo, if you're using a product like that, soaps, and allow it to sit for a little while. You can do it before the shower or you could do it after the shower. There's no real, I can't remember whether it's in any of the texts. I'm going to have to look that up, whether they say to do it before or after. Well, the reason why they're not saying before or after a shower is because there weren't showers. It was bathe in a river or lake or, or something to that effect. So I guess they're people who have different perspectives on it. What you want to make sure is that it's warm oil, that it's not cold, and that it's appropriate to your dosha. So coconut oil is a great oil for the head and the hair because it's cooling in nature. So it's so hot here, is that you want to cool it, and that will support the hair. But if you've got super vata hair, you can also do sesame oil, right? So that is the best oil for vata because it's very penetrating. And you could do a combination of them. You could do any sort of oil, and then you could blend some herbs into it. In general, what we do is you leave it on the hair for about 30 minutes. And then you wash. You can do it about 2 times a week. This is a very general thing because, as I said, if it's cold and wet outside, if you have kapha conditions and it's cloudy, then you may not want to do your hair oiling for such a long time because you might start getting congested. So you want to be aware of the timing and when. The other thing is washing the hair. So sometimes we put too much oil in the hair and we want to get it out. So there's this great Ayurvedic therapy called Shirodhara where we are pouring oil over the forehead and it goes onto the hair as well. And it's copious amounts of oil. I just so much oil. So here's a little tip on how to get it out of your hair, whether it is too much hair that you've done for yourself or not. So remember that oil and water don't mix. This is the simplest thing to think of. Oil and water don't mix. So if you want to get it out of your hair, take your shampoo, put it on your oiled hair, rub it in, and then put the warmer but not hot water onto it, and it'll come out fairly easily. So that's a little.
That's a good.
I know. And we do herbs. Lots of different herbs. You can do cooling herbs like rose and lavender, rose and floral scents if you like. You can add rosemary to it. Ayurveda uses rosemary, which is in a lot of products these days. What's really great is Ayurveda will also use mind supporting and memory supporting herbs in our oils, like Brahmi will go into it, but Brahmi doesn't have that great of a smell to it. We want to be like gorgeous and voluptuous and sexy with our hair. So So, so there are so many different herbs, but basically what you're looking for are herbs that are going to help the mind, but also are going to support the follicles. They're going to be a little bit astringent so that the follicles themselves aren't clogged, right?
Mm.
And you're looking for cooling.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. And you see, Chinese medicine tend to take those herbs internally more than they would use them topically. And of course,
Yeah.
the big one is one I mentioned last week about skin, and that's Hei Shu Wu. And they have actually found that it can target the gene. There's a special gene. I wrote it down here, FGF7 gene, that actually stimulates your hair to grow, and it can delay graying. So it's not surprising that Heishi Wu is very highly prized in China. And now it's become some fad on TikTok, but what the heck? But it's been taken for millennia. And it's part also of a longevity formula called Shu Wu Qi, which Chinese people take daily. It's like a ritual. I would say maybe it can, and I wouldn't buy it from China and think it can have effect on your liver. So I'm a bit cautious about it. But a lot of people will take a tablespoon of that every day because they feel that it guarantees hair color, prevention of the loss of hair color. And Heishi was very central to that. But that's really one of the key herbs that's very, very prized for hair growth and also just keeping your hair youthful. And you often see that Chinese people often have beautiful dark hair even when they're really quite old. Yeah, they do, and you look and you think, wow, that's amazing. They've kept their hair color. And I'm quite sure that many of them are taking this particular herbal, and there are lots of herbal related concoctions built around that.
In those kinds of cultures, I would also imagine, I don't know, that the elderly are also respected.
Oh,
And they have a purpose in the society. And I think it contrasts that. No, and yes, there's the tradition of caring for the skin and caring for the hair, but I think that part of it is not in our culture. Past 40, a woman is useless, unless she takes IVF and has children again. I'm just, I, I, I'm being very harsh on the society today, but, you get what I mean. I mean, yes, women are absolutely vibrant. They're absolutely useless to society, but the elderly are thrown away.
Whereas they're living in your family. Travel to a Chinese city, and everywhere you go, grandma is there with the one. Quite often the one child, grandchild. There's only one. Now they're allowed to have two.
Yes.
But most and that is your parents move in with you. They look after you. Or like one of my colleagues, he and his wife sent their child to live with their parents in the country till he was old enough to go to high school. And so the parents were totally full up with looking after a child again, and they had a role and a purpose and respected, and the intergenerational connection is there. It just is there. And so we don't shove people away in corners and think they have nothing to do. And of course, lots and lots of people are still working until the great age, in all sorts of professions, and seen and revered and respected for the knowledge. Not, oh, well, now you've hit 45 or 50. We better park you in the office that's nearest the door and hope you leave.
Yes. So that's, the emotional effect. So part of keeping your hair healthy is to keep your emotional and relational life healthy. There is one oil that I wanted to talk about, and that is castor oil. Castor oil is used in Ayurveda as it draws out impurities. And it is very thick, and it is very subtly penetrating, even though it's very thick. And castor oil has been discovered in the United States. I don't know about Europe.
Oh yes.
When I was in the co-op, managing the co-op, there was a year where the TikTokers and the Instagrammer influencers were talking about castor oil for the eyebrows and for the eyelashes and for the hair, and you couldn't find castor oil for close to a year because people bought it out. That's how important the hair is to people. And so I wouldn't recommend castor oil on the head. It's a little too much. It's a little too dense. You could use it on the eyelashes and on the eyebrows if you wanted to. It will pull out some of the clogging, but not that much. It is anti-inflammatory, and it does dilate capillaries and follicles, but it's a strong, strong thing. So I would be super careful if you have to use it sometimes. I mean, you may be able to use it, say, if you have some sort of a chemical imbalance, and you know, or too much oil, and you know that things need to be pulled out in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I would prefer, if you can't, anything that you put on the body, you should be able to eat,
Yeah.
right? And so any of these oils that we generally recommend for the hair, you can eat those. The herbs that are in those, you can eat those. Castor oil is slightly poisonous, and so if you ingest it, it's going to run through the body, which is what a poison is supposed to do. The body's supposed to expel it. So not too much. So you can ingest castor oil if it's prepared properly and it's organic, and we won't go there. But remember, if you can put it on your body, in your mouth, and you're not going to vomit it out or expel it in any other way.
Yeah.
You can put it on your skin, on your hair, on your nails, everywhere.
But preferably not to eat. It's just not. I mean, it's always think of when you have castor oil, it's because you need to purge something out of the body. Exactly. And that was the only time you would add. So no, it makes perfect sense not to do that.
Yes. So let's talk about internal. You spoke a little bit about it.
About herbs, but food is a huge part. Nutrition is massive. Not only what we shouldn't eat, but what we should be. And Chinese medicine, we were looking very much at yin building foods. And they're also the foods that happen to be some of those that you might recommend be suitable for women in perimenopause because we are kidney yin deficient. And some of the ones that for hair are things like seaweeds. And seaweeds, of course, feature in all cultures, actually. They're present everywhere. But, of course, they're rich in salt and minerals. So they are not just part of, we think, Japanese food, but actually they're fantastic. They've become very popular again here in Sweden. In Wales, they eat lava bread, which is baked with seaweed. And so it's been a food for thousands of years. People have used seaweed as a source of good nutrition. So seaweed's good. And if you don't like
people who live near the ocean have a seaweed. People who live inland
don't. Yeah. No, you don't, because it's not part of your culture to eat them inland. So if you come from a sea-based culture, yes. The other things are things like black sesame seeds. They are also seen as yin building foods. They're great. You can put them in salads, soups. If you eat salads, soups. Good in your rice congee, your rice porridge, that's more savory, and beans that are dark and black in nature as well. And of course, goji berries. Goji berries are longevity foods, so they are highly. Those are some of the key things that I would say. And there was a recipe created by someone called Song Mei Lin. It's a congee recipe. It's probably much older than she was. She was celebrated by people like Ernest Hemingway. She was Chinese, very controversial. And she had a thing called mailing porridge, which she credited with keeping her hair very beautiful, which was just basically a congee. But she put in things like Chinese yams and lily roots, gojis, and osmanthus flowers. And that was all cooked into the congee to create foods and nutrients that were very good for your hair.
Yeah.
I thought it was, yeah. So this kind of very simple, I mean, and obviously we don't eat things like lily root bowls and osmanthus flowers in the West, but that is the use of botanicals really inside something that's a good solid base for food, which of course is rice. And in the case of congee, for those that don't know, it's a rice that is cooked until it's like a thick porridge, cooked for hours and hours and hours, very, very slowly. And then that forms the breakfast for many, many people across China and the whole Chinese diaspora, I would say.
And any rice-based culture has their version of congee as a chicken soup for the soul, a chicken soup for the body. It's a rejuvenant. It's so easy to digest. Ayurveda, we use it in Ayurveda as well. So you're looking for simple to digest. But what I thought was fascinating about her recipe is that she's talking about sweet potatoes. She's talking about root vegetables. Yeah. And root vegetables tend to have more minerals than the upper parts of the upper parts of a plant, right? So the minerals are what support your blood. It supports your bones. Therefore, it's going to support your hair. So that's how we want to think about nutrition when we're talking about hair. So you're looking for adequate iron as well. So we're looking at dates. We're looking at jaggery, which is one of the first products of sugar. Maple syrup is going to have a little, like the first maple syrups. Beets will have it. Thyme, raisins, figs, dark leafy greens, anything red.
Oh, yes.
Anything red, including some meat and the legumes that are darker colored and red colored. And I think that's where the black concept comes from Chinese, because red turns black when it's the red color in nature turns black when it's very, very red.
And it's more of a blue. I would always say that it's more of a blue black than a kind of black, as we think of black. It's that kind of, it's the purple cabbage. It's that nature is never, very rarely, truly, truly black. It's often that sort of reddish black or blue black.
Yeah. So we do the black sesame seed as well as the regular sesame seed, because that adds calcium to the diet. And you want to include herbs and spices that are are really balanced. Most spices are heating, but you want to include the cumins, the black pepper, turmeric, hing or asafoetida, coriander, fennel, Those are all great in cooking. You can also use fenugreek, which is also cooling. And then you want to be sure that you're digesting. So we're always talking about it. No matter what you're eating, if you can't digest it, it's not going to go through the process of nourishing all of the 7 tissues till it hits the bones, and then the bones have to create this byproduct. So you want to always be digesting, which is where we tend to use a lot of ginger. And have your pickled ginger either with the meal or before the meal, depending on where your digestion is at. There are some other herbs that we specifically use for the hair. And in general, I don't recommend herbs, but ashwagandha will assist the hair. So some people have a reaction to ashwagandha. It's become the thing, but if you start getting heated by it, too hot, then it's not a good thing. So ashwagandha will do that. Amla, which is the Indian gooseberry, super high in vitamin C. It's also in a lot of hair oil products. So having amla is part of that. Then there's shatavari. Shatavari is the yin to the ashwagandha yang, you could say. Although it doesn't. Originally, they used to say that it was female and male, but it's going to support all of the estrogens and help the hair. So a lot of times the ashwagandha is in the hair products as well, but you can eat it. Bringaraj, which is helps the mind also. So that's a great one to ingest and put in the hair. Then there is this thing called Shilajit. So Shilajit has shown up in the United States as this male potent, it makes you a male potent. But what it is, it's actually mineral pitch that comes from the Himalayas, and it's super, super great for bone health. It's got a lot of goodness to it. We're deficient in minerals in general as a whole. Our soils have been compromised by the way we farm, by the way we build. It can go on and on and on. So having something that is super high in minerals, and it's processed in such a way that we can digest it too. And then finally, there's a jam that is really good that we can eat, and it's called Chaiban Prash. And did I mention ghee? Have ghee.
Of course.
So some Chaiban Prash will have ghee in it. That's what reminded me. It's got dates and it's got raisins, and depending on the tradition, it will have anywhere between 10 and 40 different herbs in it. Yeah. Really cute. Yeah. People will put it on toast to eat it, at least in the West. And it's a rejuvenator. So that's the flip side, is that we want to nourish, and then we want to rejuvenate. We want to detox, nourish, rejuvenate. And it's this constant cycle, not necessarily in a line, but it's a constant thing that we're always looking at rather than just fix it.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think all of these things that you and I have shared from our different traditions are things that become you're managing your hair, you're oiling your hair, you're massaging your scalp. The daily rituals of a few times a week, they're part of a a life ritual. And the food we eat, it's not out of the box, really. It's like food we can eat all year round. It's part of a good base diet all the time, over and over and over again, provided the quality of it is good.
Yeah.
We this is food we can eat. And a lot of these foods are also foods we would say are great for longevity. They're the things that we should be eating when we're, 90 and 100 too, because they have that property, that life-giving, what we call high levels of Jing. They really support us to live long well, as opposed to our fast, what is it, sugary, salty stuff that makes up too much of too many people's diet.
Convenient now energy.
Oh, is that really what it is? Well, I think yes, but short-lived usually.
Short-lived. Yes, that was the other piece that I needed to get in there. Convenient, now short-lived. Anything like that is convenient and now is always short-lived. It's always going to be that way. So I have a question for you. Since we're on the topic of hair, unless you want to share more about the Chinese medicine and hair. Okay. So so one of the things about hair is that when we're in menopause, it changes color.
Yeah.
And so what's been going on is that the hair is also the skin is also changing my color. And I look fine in the summertime. I don't look like death warmed over. Nature of the olive skin. Can't wear pastels, right? So in the summertime when I have color, I'm okay. But as I go into winter and I'm staying more indoors, the grayness of the hair turns into the grayness of the skin too. So I look in the mirror and I'm like, ugh. So I don't know if I'm asking an opinion or not, but I'm going to tell you that I am in the process of divining cutting my hair, and I may color it as well, but I will be using something like henna or something that's so much more breathable than before.
Yeah.
So
maybe
like short.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
I've done every kind of hairstyle possible except for shaving it off, and sometimes I want to do that too.
Well, I've never had long hair because I was a pitta person, so my hair was always fine and it never grew longer than here. Yeah. So I've had short hair a long time, and I think it's too long now. So I want it shorter than this. Short. And it's interesting since I've been doing more of my qigong practices that I've noticed that the graying has really slowed down. I've been doing a lot more head tapping work with this next level of the qigong training and working, and suddenly I'm thinking, it's not getting any grayer.
That's part of the legends of hair oiling is that with the right oil and the right herbs and done properly, you can reverse the graying itself. But I don't like speaking about the hair the reversal because people don't understand the nuances and the subtleties and how much work it actually takes to reverse things.
And I don't think I've reversed. I think it's just slowed it right down. And so, in the summer, it's a little, obviously you're out in the sun. And when I go to Australia, it'll probably look like much grayer because I'll have my hat on more. I won't have my hat off. But it has definitely slowed. And I don't put any chemicals on my hair either. That's become a big thing. But yeah, I think you should go for it. Cut it short. See what it looks like and always grow back. And And that's what you can try. And henna products are wonderful. Very easy.
You just, I'm thinking about, there was a time when I couldn't grow my hair this long, and that was in midlife when I was super pitta. My pitta and vata are very close. And Pitta and Vata are a conglomeration of qualities. So they're very, very close. But during midlife, when I was really fiery, I couldn't grow. This is the longest my hair has ever been. And I thought that it wouldn't grow long. So I was like, okay, it stops here. And then it just kept on going. And I was like, okay, let's
check the Vata together.
But now I'm just kind of needing something new. And
yeah, that's good. So, well, we'll leave it and ask people if you had any questions, anything that you wanted to comment on. We would love to hear that.
And if not,
we might end.
We might just end it here. If you have, I want to hear your hair stories. It's the hair is part of our story. It's part of who we are as women. Whether and because it's the face that we show to the world, right? So we have stories around it, and to keep our legacies of what our mothers taught us about hair, what our grandmothers taught about hair. I mean, that's super important to talk, because it's our self-esteem and our stories.
And I always think my grandmother, she had beautiful hair, and she kept it long. She never cut it. And even on her 100th birthday, did she have it styled and, with long hair. It was, that was her crowning glory. Oh boy. Yeah, right to the end.
Yeah. Okay. So another short little story. So when I lived in Florida, I used to go to a Hindu temple on a regular basis. And in the temple, they worship various deities. And one woman walked up to me one day and she says, I bet your deity is Shiva. Shiva is the destroyer. And well, that's what they consider him, but he's really the outside of society kind of guy. So it's quite often split into goddess worship, mother worship, which is also part of the Shiva traditions. And then there's Krishna or Vishnu and Shiva. And I was like, how do you know? She was like, a Krishna person would always have their hair just so, like your grandmother. It's just like everything is perfect and they care. So we got some. Hi, Audrey. Welcome. Maria is saying that she's definitely noticed in perimenopause that her hair has grows slower. And got attached for a while to long hair and just cut it. Well, I hope that in shamanic traditions, the emotions are also connected to the hair and the memories are connected to the hair. So when you cut it off, some of those things go off too. So hopefully on an emotional level, you've released some baggage. And she's also stopped coloring it years ago because realized that there would come a time when she wouldn't be able to enjoy her natural hair color. Have some streaks of gray now and like it. Yay!
Yay. We like that. That's beautiful. Thank you very much.
So here we go. One more. Finally, we're getting it's the stories. It's always the stories that will get people. Indeed. So Maria is, and the reason why I'm reading this is because it's easier for me. I have my computer right up here. Otherwise,
I know you do.
for
I
us to do it.
Yeah.
So Maria responded, "Ooh, I felt like I needed a release. I grew it out with the start of COVID, Chitra. You didn't speak to oiling kapha type hair. Okay, I'll speak to that in a moment. If it's thick but not oily, also live in dry climate. What are your thoughts on oil type? Also, would love to see you with short hair." Aww. So oiling kapha hair. Kapha hair once a week, for sure. And I would, I would actually do a combination of 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 coconut and sesame, or even almond oil, or any kind of oil. It's really hard to penetrate this, and the oil is not really going to. Um, It's not like when you were a teenager, where your hair is going to simply absorb what it needs and release what it doesn't. The thing about oiling kapha hair is that kapha hair doesn't need as much oil as the other two do. Because when you have pitta hair, because you're fiery, it's going to dry things out, right? So the oil is going to help. And if you're vata, you've got dry hair. So so you need the oil for that. And that's one of the reasons why I don't speak about it. So yeah, at least once a week. You could do it twice a week. Figure it out for yourself. The most important thing is is that um, the most important thing is to make sure that you are not in conflict with the environment. So you don't want to do the hair oil at night, because you're going to chill the body a little bit too much. If it's snowing outside, or it's cloudy, or it's foggy, or it's rainy, or cold, you don't want to do it then. However, if it's winter time and it's naturally cold, the time you're going to want to do it is in the middle of the day when it's the warmest. Also, we live in climate control. So it's not like we're oiling our hair and going outside into the cold. Our temperatures are fine. So it's okay. But I find that the dampness is going to affect the external dampness is going to affect. So Maria is saying it takes so much oil to get my hair full. Haha. I've done it a few times with my Abhyanga oil. So in that case, don't put it on all of the hair. Massage it just into the scalp. Because that's really where you want to get it. If you have dry vata hair, that's a different story. And I need so much oil too to get it through my hair, because I have thin hair, but a lot of it. So you want to just get it into the scalp and massage it in well. And depending on the type of Abhyanga oil you're using, Abhyanga is a massage oil that you use for the skin. Some of the Abhyanga oils are sweet. So I would watch out for that sort of thing. I would prefer using straight oil without any herbs over the sweeter oils, because you want more of an astringent kind of thing to help with the follicle. Okay.
Wonderful. Yes.
We went way over today.
We did. Obviously, we had a lot to say about hair, and it was lovely to hear people's comments and questions too. Yeah. So we'll be back next week for some more conversations.
Yes, we will. And I guess bye-bye for now. Take care of your hair.
Yeah. Crown of glory. Yeah. See you guys. Bye.